Welcome to the Barry Charles Footy Show, review show round 11. In today's video we will talk about what's happening in the rugby league, including Tommy Trbo out for the season, Ewan Aitken off to the Dolphins, what's happening with Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, and what's doing with the bunker. Is it time to let it go? As also we'll review all around 11 games, look at the Dalian points I picked for this week, we'll look at my selections for New South Wales and Queensland if I was picking these teams right here, right now. And finish off with Thursday and Friday preview of the games ahead. Let's talk footy. First off, Tommy Trbo. He is gone ski for the season. Is Manly Seagulls gone too? Well, that is debatable. I think Manly can sneak into 8th spot for mine. I think they will still get into the top 8. But apart from that, that's all she wrote. Can't see them winning the finals game because they'll be playing a decent team. And without Tommy Trbo, they're in big trouble. Which leads me to the next question. Is Tommy Trbo a liability? Well, I wanted to go through his history of his career just to let you know what has happened. 2016 to 2018, so 3 years in a row, he averaged 22.5 games a season. So he was flying early in his career and there was no problems, Tommy Trbo. But 2019 till now, so 4 years now, 4 years, he's only managed 11 games a season average. So if we look at 2019, he only played 12 games. 2020, he played 7 games. And his out to now breaking season in 2021, he played 18 games, and now 2022, he's back to 7 games, and that's it for the season. So if you want to turn this into money factors for Manly, $600K out of his contract, he's sitting on the sidelines. Now, is that a good investment for you? I don't think so. Especially if you're wanting to win a premiership. That $600K could be used somewhere else. Problem is, there's not many genuine superstars like Tommy Trbo out there. But unfortunately, he's injury prone and costing Manly any chance of winning a premiership. And their premiership window is probably just about gone because Cherry Evans is not going to last much longer either. So what can they do from next season? Fullback, he's got to be gone. He can't play there anymore. He is a good player, but he's going to have to come into the defence line somewhere in centre or 5'8", so he's not running those huge meters for his hamstrings and having to make up those big plays in defence on fullback. So I think it's time Manly decide to find a fullback and put Trbo somewhere else. Now, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, what's he thinking? Well, I can attest to this. Every time I've met him at a rugby league game, he has been absolutely outstanding. Top class, good fella, likes to have a joke. But unfortunately, when he steps on that field, it's all doom and gloom from there. He just sometimes gets a hot head. Not always, but sometimes he just gets a hot head mentality, doesn't know when to shut up, and sayonara to the sin bin, buddy. Or we put in that high shot, or he'll stay on the player too long and give away the penalty. It's just been his whole career, unfortunately. Just a little bit of discipline at key times, and swearing at the ref is not going to do you well trying to stay on the field. I know he want to be frustrated about the tackle, that he was trying to save the try, but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules now. You hit someone in the head, you're just about guaranteed to be sin bin now. Not quite, but pretty close. And he was probably lucky he wasn't going to be sin bin straight away. But anyway, that is Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, and I also have to say, what the hell was the captain doing? James Tedesco. He should have told him to move on. Forget about him, mate. But as I said before, off the field, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves is a very good guy. But unfortunately on the field, sometimes the worst comes out on him. Ewan Aitken to the Dolphins. What's doing there? It looks like it's Dad's Army in Waden's world. It looks more like a retirement village when you look at the Bromwich brothers, Mark Nicholas, Ewan Aitken, Kafusi. All these players are over 30 years old. And you know what happened to the Rabbitohs about 15 years ago? Signing the likes of Kidwell and Nigel Wagner way over their expiry date. It was disaster. And the Dolphins need to find some young talent that's going to match up with their forward pack. Like, their forward pack is not going to be a bad forward pack, but they're going to get slower, and after maybe the first season they're really going to struggle after that. But they'll be good for experience, but whether they can stay in the team will be a big question going forward. And was the money well spent there? Obviously the Dolphins are still looking for their marquee player, and they're running out of options there. And Dominus Louis to the Warriors for the rest of the season. Well, I would put him straight in because the Warriors aren't doing any good, and give him a chance because he's quite a solid player. He'll get there 100 meters for you. I don't know about offloading. That's what the Warriors desperately need, an offloader. But anyway, that could be a good signing for the Warriors. And what's doing Matt Lodge playing local rugby? What's he doing? He wants to play for the Wallabies? There's no chance of that. Not fast enough, buddy. Well, he could be a prop, I guess. But I don't know what's doing there with Matt Lodge. Now, the bunker. This has obviously been the big talking point this week. It adds extra 30 minutes to the game of rugby league. Should it be tossed out into the rubbish bin? The $1 billion, it might not be $1 billion, $5 million bunker. What should we do with it? Get rid of it? Well, if you look at what it's there for, is to get rid of the howlers, and they still gave up a howler this last weekend with the Tamara Martin pass behind the back of the player. umpire doing a good old-fashioned shepherd before passing the ball. I don't know what was doing there with the bunker and even Graham Annesley. I don't know, they've been doing something crazy on the weekend. I think they might need to go to OPSM. I personally like the bunker. It just gives a bit more theatre. Maybe in a radical change here, we're going to change to the NFL. The Super Bowl. Let's have 20-minute quarters and have all the advertising all around it. Boom, boom, money for the NRL. Well, could this be the future? I seriously doubt this is going to happen, but I tell you what, it wouldn't be a crazy concept for money-making machine. To be honest, I think most of the decisions are well constructed, and it's only about like probably 10% at the most they get wrong or are dubious. So I think it's alright for me, but especially if you look at some of the plays. Okay, so if you go to no bunker, so all the obvious knock-ons that they pick up, or the wrong, if it's a dropout or a 20-meter tap, if players always knocking balls on or just touching at the last minute, the refs are getting that wrong. You want that to go away, and whatever the ref calls, he's going to be complaining about that. It doesn't matter what you do. NRL always complains about something. It's just human nature. So for me, the bunker should stay. And as you can see, Adam Reynolds not at the Rabbitohs anymore, and they are going backwards while the Broncos keep on flying on Thursday Night Football as we review the round. No Adam Reynolds, no worries. The Broncos get it done. But unfortunately, it was probably a ref's blunder with the pass out the back that justified the Broncos going on to carving up the Knights, because before then it was a very tight game of footy, but the Knights' capitulation as well was embarrassing and question marks over Adam O'Brien's future surely. So the game, to me, I'm not convinced Broncos are a true premiership contender. I think yes, top 8, but I don't see them winning the comp just yet. They just need probably a few more players for mine. They could surprise me, but I just got a feeling that there might be a bit of a false dawn here, and we might see a bit of a collapse. We'll see. The Broncos could prove me wrong. And let's be honest, the Knights season is over. They're gone. Gonskis. You can fish and chip paper right there. Their season is well and truly gone. Selwyn Cobbo surely is going to make the Queensland team. Let's have a look at the Friday Night Football, which really was a bludger of a match between two bottom 4 teams. Playing out for the wooden spoon more than likely, the Bulldogs and West Tigers. Madge Maguire's got 4 weeks. I think he should have already been sacked already for mine. But anyway, we'll find out. But anyway, back to the game. It was an absolute nothing to write home about. The only player who I thought put their hand out high was Jackson Hastings, who has been very solid for the Tigers, but again, he's still got a few errors in him, and he's not quite the perfect man manager. He's got the talking power right, but when it comes to his kicking game, sometimes he just doesn't get it right there. I suspect he's a number 6 for mine, and they need to sign a number 7 if they really want to go. And I think Luke Brooks, to me, just needs to go. I don't know why they just keep pursuing with him. He's got to go. He's a good player. Maybe the Bulldogs will sign him up and he might turn his career around. That's what I think. For Luke Brooks, he just needs a different environment, but he's taking the easy way out. Now, the Friday night footy game was definitely in the match in the round. The Eels versus Manly. Manly could say they were dudded by the refs, but to be honest, they had more chances than that to win that game beforehand. But what about Mitchell Moses? Can he finally deliver Parramatta a premiership? At the moment, I don't think so. I was expecting them to make the grand final this season, but for what I've seen so far, it looks like the same old. They might be ready for capitulation during the origin period like they have the last couple of seasons. Mitchell Moses needs to take this team forward. He's not going to be in the origin team unless there's an injury. He's absolutely got to nail the origin period and win all 3. They got a big opportunity at Parramatta. They got a very good team with not many origin players. Only a couple will be in the origin team. So what do Parramatta need to improve? Obviously, the back line is probably what's causing the problems. Not the only problems, but the back line, they don't have Micah Servo's back, that's good. But Sean Russell, are they going to put him back in? I don't know what's happening there. I think he should be back in. But yeah, they're just lacking a little bit of depth out wide, just like the Warriors in a way. But they obviously playing a lot better than the Warriors. But that's probably the concerning point for Parramatta on their way to top 4. They should make top 4, but don't be surprised if they drop to the top 6. And I expect Manly to get up for this game. I mean, get up for next week's game against the Storm. They've been disappointing, Manly. They need to pull finger, otherwise their season could slip away as well. I still expect them to make the top 8, but it could get dangerous if they lose a few more in a row. Now, Saturday footy. Dragons versus the Warriors. Well, if you're a Warriors fan, you must be scratching your head, because yet again, the young backs out wide are just not doing the damage. Running out of play, going to the sideline, dropping them. It's just the same old merry-go-round. And they leave someone like Jesse Arthurs on the sideline when he's ready to play. I just don't understand why Nathan Brown's even the coach. He should really be sacked. To me, he's just not good enough. I'm telling you now, for the Warriors, the best coach they could get, as I've said for probably 10 years, Jeff Tuvey. They need someone who can go in there, no nonsense, just like Daniel Anderson, and get these these players that are playing absolute rubbish to either sink or swim. If they want to swim, they're out the door, or bring in hard men into the club. They need a coach like that, the Warriors. That's what they've done their best footy in. Bring over Jeff Tuvey. And the match was won by Cody Ramsey. He was absolutely carving up at fullback. But will he be dropped in a couple of weeks' time when he has one bad game? Anthony Griffin doesn't seem to have any sort of conviction on who he wants to pick, and that is costing the Dragons consistency for mine. And the Dragons have a team that could sneak into the top 8, but I can't see it. He's not keeping a pick and stick sort of mentality, which you need to do in the NRL generally if you want to be competitive in the finals. Now the Cowboys versus the Storm. This was supposed to be one of these games that make a statement, and Cowboys certainly did. But the Storm made it even worse. What the hell is happening? Take out their two best players, and they are no good. No good at all. Jerome Hughes and Pappenhausen out, and again they were carved up big time. But I still query the selection process. I would have thought Nick Meaney would easily gone into the halves. He looked the logical one to play number 7 and keep everyone else where they normally play, and put Wish out at fullback or whoever they needed to. But for some reason he went the way he did with Harry Grant at 7, and it was an absolute diabolic disgrace. Even Brandon Smith could have played number 7. But the Cowboys keep on surprising, and Queensland are knocking. You look at the players that are really carving up here: Ruben Cotter, Jeremiah Nanai, Iliam Luki, just to name a few. And obviously Chad Townsend just done what Adam Reynolds has done at the Broncos, and just been that calm, steady ship, a bit like Cooper Cronk, just kicking to the corners, doing everything right, just the man manager that they needed. And now look where they are. For me, the Melbourne Storm are going to do some soul searching this week and really need to pull out a big game against Manly. But there is queries that even the pack might be getting a little bit old, like the Roosters. Speaking of Roosters, they were absolutely given a class performance by the Penrith Panthers. And Trent Robinson, is he under pressure for his job? Everyone will say, "You're kidding me, mate?" Well, I'm telling you now, there's a bit of left field noise that he could be the next Bulldogs coach. Now that sounds ridiculous to me, but you never know. Trent Robinson, I tell you what, he obviously wouldn't want Kyle Flanagan. Kyle Flanagan would be gone, but it wouldn't be a bad move. I'm just wondering if he's getting a little bit stale at the Roosters. I think they might be hearing the old same stuff, because the Roosters on paper should probably be a top 14. But they are missing a hooker, there's no doubt about it. They probably underestimated Jake Friend's loss. He's probably the biggest loss out of all the players they left. He's a general, really nice passing game, doing the tackles up the middle. They're really missing him. And Sam Verrill's been injured, hasn't helped. Is he the out-and-out superstar that the Roosters are wanting? And Brandon Smith coming, I don't know if that's going to solve the issue either. But on the Panther side, they just keep on delivering, and Jerome Luai was absolutely 10 out of 10 performance, absolutely carving up the defense. He looks like he's on top of the world, cruising along. Looks like he's in second gear, to be honest, and I think he's got more gears to go, and that's dangerous for Queensland and dangerous for the rest of the competition, because Panthers look like they're going to go 2 years in a row. Wow, what about this team? The Raiders were too good for this Rabbitohs team. They were absolutely bunnies. They play like bunnies, and maybe they're still on Easter holiday because they're just not delivering. And to be honest, I think they've overachieved so far, but they might sneak 8th spot, but to me, I don't think they'll make the top 8. I just don't think they've got a good enough team. And letting Adam Reynolds go was the biggest mistake of the season. Same with the Titans with Jamal Fogarty leading him go. It was an absolute disgrace. Lachlan Ilias is probably about 3 years away from being more consistent, so that's going to be something the Rabbitohs are going to have to rely on. And unfortunately, Cody Walker is probably not the right man for that job. If it was a Kieran Foran, I would say yes. Cody Walker sort of needs a general around him so he can be relaxed. So don't be surprised if Cody Walker is shipped off, as I said. Could be to the Dolphins. Raiders have turned the corner. I honestly don't think so. They play two teams that aren't that great. You wait till they play a decent team and they will really be showing the door. And I wouldn't be surprised if they got a 30-point hiding. Good on them. They're playing well enough to maybe sneak the 8 if they really get on the rock and roll, but I honestly don't think they'll make it. And why I say that is because Papali and Whiten will be out at Origin. And to me, with those two out, they will lose those 3 games easily unless they're playing a team that's really struggling with players out as well. Well, the last game of footy saw Nico Hines back to form, but the Sharks weren't that convincing for me. And their performance has not been an 80-minute performance that Craig Fitzgibbon would be looking for, but I guess they got the win. But the last month's been a bit pathetic for me. If I was a Sharks fan, they really need to improve. To me, I think they're more than likely to be in the 5th to 8th range, and I just don't see them quite being up to the top teams. And while for the Titans, clearly season's over. They got a few injuries, and I just don't need to talk much about them. The only hope they got is Jaden Campbell. He's been very good in his last couple of weeks. Well, let's look at my Dally M points of the round. 3 points, no doubt about it. The best player of the round, Jerome Luai, absolutely carving up for Penrith. Absolutely a class above. And to me, he was absolutely deserved the 3 points. He was just too good to be true. Outstanding. 2 points. He nearly got the 3 points, but Josh Papali, he's been good all season, and he deserves to get some points here. He's been very good for the Raiders, but getting the try, big meters, outstanding for his 250th. Well done there, Josh Papali. At one point, I had to give it to him, even though the game wasn't the greatest of games. But Cody Ramsey absolutely killed it for the Dragons. He was very, very elusive. Beautiful moves, very good player, and let's hope they stick on him for the rest of the season because the Dragons fans really need him to. Let's quickly look at the leaderboard. There's not much change, obviously. Cameron Munster absolutely carving up well ahead. Anna Reynolds didn't play, but he holds on to second spot, and they've got a whole pile on 3 points, with Jerome Luai adding to that list. Be interesting to see how the season goes. We need some more forwards on that leaderboard. But anyway, we're ready for Thursday night football. Or are we? Well, first we've got to look at New South Wales, the New South Wales selection. Let's have a look at that. This is the team that I would pick if I was going to be the New South Wales selection. But first off, we have to look at a few injuries. Obviously, you got Tommy Turbo out, Latrell Mitchell, Dale Finucane, Victor Radley, and Ryan Papenhuyzen. All 5 players I think would have been in the Origin team. So that's 5 selections Bradford had to make. Kevin Murray is touch and go, but I believe he will be playing, so I've put him into this team. Let's check out the New South Wales team, and you'll see it come up on the screen. At fullback for me is James Tedesco. Brian Toho, who believe will get a wing spot, with his centre pairing Stephen Crichton. I think the time has come. He'll finally get his game of footy. I think the other side is the most contentious one. Who do you go with? I've gone for Jack Whiten. I think he's going to be playing number 4 because I think they've got another number 14 on their bucket list here, and they pick and stick. I think you'll see Whiten at 4, which will leave some other players like Katoni Staggs and Campbell Graham missing out. Another winger, Josh Addo-Carr, picks himself, even if the Bulldogs are not going too well. Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary, absolutely carving it up, and no reason to put it. I've got a few shock selections here. My 2 props. Jake Trbojevic, I just think he's just outstanding. He can start the game off steady, and then he can just move into 12 or 13 when they need to add on some impact players. That's the way I see it. And I think David Clemmer's I don't know why he's been left out the last couple of years, but he's a very good player. I know they're not going to pick him, but for me, if I was picking a team, David Clemmer is a scary opposition. The tall man, tall timber, runs big meters. I think he's just playing at the wrong club. If he's at a different club, I think he would easily be in. My number 9, Happy Coruscant. I just don't think Damien Cook's playing good enough footy. And you think of the Penrith combination in the squad of about 6 or 7 players, he should be in there. I just don't think Damien Cook's playing good enough. He's played a couple of good games in the last 3 weeks, Damien Cook, but his whole season has been pretty average. Number 11, Cameron Murray. Obviously, he can't play 13 because he got Isaiah Yeo at 13, and Liam Martin, he picks himself as well. He was outstanding last year, and obviously with a few injuries, he is in the starting lineup. Now the bench, Nico Hines, for mine, is just an absolute shoe in there. Absolutely carving up. He's got to be there. Junior Paulo, He's an impact player for mine instead of starting. I just think he can bring some impact. Same with Payne Huss. He needs some big brutes to come on and absolutely put the nail in the coffin. And I think that's the way they should play. And I think Ryan Madison deserves his opportunity. He's played very well. And he can just be that little bit of fancy work you need with the offloads as well as Junior Paulo and can offload for the team. Now, I know I've left out some good players from the selection table. Easily Campbell Graham or Katoni Staggs could be in the centre role. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, Daniel Safiti, Regan Campbell Gillard are definitely prop selections. You obviously got Angus Crichton, who could easily be in the team as well. And Colin Matangi, another one they're talking about. He's another one obviously on the radar. But to me, the New South Wales team is going to be strong. They could pick a B team still, even with the injuries, and be very, very strong. Now, let's look at the Queensland side. There's obviously no second rowers of David Fafita and Jaden Sewer, so they got a couple of injuries there. Kyle Falk goes down, but to be honest, I don't think he was going to be in the team anyway. But he's definitely in form and would have been a contender. So let's have a look at the Queensland team, my predictions for the Queensland team right here on your screen now. At fullback, he holds on, only just, but there's no form from anyone else. Kalen Ponga keeps his spot, but he has done well for Queensland, so I've decided to keep him there, even though I had question marks and thought Reece Walsh probably deserved to be there, but Reece Walsh's form hasn't really been up to standard either. Whether that's a Nathan Brown issue or a Reece Walsh issue, I'm not sure. Sal and Combo to make his debut. I'm not sure they will pick him. It's obviously Corey Oates is another option there. And a few other players like Fido. So the centre pairing, obviously Dane Gagai and Valentine Holmes, that's an easy selection there. And Xavier Coates on the those ones are Loggins. I'm not sure about Sal and Combo. I think he'll get there, but they might pick a more experienced player. Karen Munster at 6. That picks himself. Number 7, I would go for Sam Walker. I honestly think Daly Cherry Evans at this level is not good enough. And I think if they pick Daly Cherry Evans, they will not win this season's competition. He's a good player at NRL level, but I just think he doesn't seem to have the time needed at this level, where we know Sam Walker's got plenty of time, and I think he's going to be a great player if given the opportunity. I think the game's gone a bit there's all these big forwards and stuff, and with the game speeding up a little bit, Sam Walker, they can target him, and that's why they don't think they should pick him. But I think if you put someone decent there and have a big forward like Kafusi or someone right there next to him, like the old Tony Carroll days, some hard player right next to him to help the defence, I think he'll be fine as a Queensland selection. And we know what he can do with the ball. Yeah, and I've also gone slightly different here. I've gone Josh Papali. Obviously easy, he'll be starting. But Jai Arrow, again, similar to Jake Trbojevic, he can start in the front row and then go back into the second row or lock when needed, when another prop comes on. For me, Ben Hunt, he's the best hooker. For me, I think he is just a general the New South Wales, Queensland need. And I think he plays number 9, which allows Harry Grant to go to 13, which people go, what are you doing? He could easily be a bench player too, Harry Grant, but I think he needs someone else on the bench, which you can obviously see on the screen already, but we'll get to that. Kirk Capewell and Felice Kafusi, well, they pretty much picked themselves there. We're going to be probably the 2 starters anyway. And then on the bench, Reece Walsh, no doubt about it. He can play a lot of positions. Probably question marks if he could play centre. I don't think he can play centre, and it'd be question marks if he could play wing either, so there's probably an interesting selection. He might be an out-and-out pick but obviously Ben Hunt will probably end up with that selection there. But anyway, for me, Reece Walsh is who I'll be putting there. Jeremiah Nana, I think he just deserves his opportunity. Tino Famamasui, he just deserves to be there as well. And Pat Carrington for mine. He's the one I would put in at 17. But to be honest, you could probably pick another 10 players. They've got a bit of depth in the forward pack, the Queensland team. You got fellas like Futueka, Ruben Cotter, Francis Mulo, obviously a couple of injuries to come back. So they're pretty well in depth in the forward pack, which is a bit of a change of late for Queensland. So they got a bit of depth there. They're a little bit thin in the back line, to be honest. They need a bit more players coming up through the back line. But obviously Sam Walker and Reece Walsh are definitely 2 of them, but they need a lot more, and Sal and Cobo. But outside of that, they need a few more young ones coming through. But that is my 2 selections, so you can debate that on my comments here on the channel. Remember to subscribe to the channel as well, and kick the like button so it's a great game between New South Wales and Queensland in a couple of weeks' time. Let's talk Thursday night football. Melbourne Storm at home against the Manly Seagulls. And to be honest, Melbourne Storm do not lose 3 in a row. And again, Jerome Hughes, is he back or is he not? Surely he's back, and as simple as that, I think if he's back, they win by 18. I know Manly will give it a good red-hot go, but I think the last 20 minutes, they might run out of gas, and Melbourne Storm run away with it. The good thing is I like to see George Tafua back. I think he's underrated, and I don't know why no other team has picked him up, but he hasn't played for a couple of years. Good to see him back, but will he be in the team come Thursday? Because Jason Saab is ready for a return, so it'll be interesting to see if there's a late change there. I hope not. I'd like to see George Tafua back. Friday night football. What a game this is. Cowboys versus the Panthers. Can Cowboys be contenders, or will they be pretenders? Well, I'm telling you now, they will be pretenders. Absolutely, Penrith here are going to deliver a masterclass just before Origin. I expect them to win big time as well. I could see them winning absolutely big by 20 points or more. I just think they're going to be too good. The Cowboys will probably play better than that than I expect, but I don't expect any chance of the Cowboys winning this game. Especially with injuries to Kyle Felt and Jason Tomalola, they're going to be hard to replace. Even though Jeremiah Nanai and Ruben Cotter and a few others are pushing for Queensland selection. The final game of Friday night football, it could be disastrous for the Titans, or could be one of the boilovers of the season. There's no Adam Reynolds, so this could be the chance for the Titans to pull off the upset and, as I said, the derail ship, or the Broncos, the new team this season. But really, the Broncos should win big time. Without Adam Reynolds, it might not be as big as I was expecting. I was still expecting them to win by 18. But don't be surprised if the Titans pull a big game up, and the Knights were in the game last week, so it's going to be an interesting game. But the Titans, again, I don't know, the number 7's the query. They're just struggling in that position. Jalen Campbell, obviously him, and I don't know what they're doing with AJ Brimson because he's really not doing much impact from the 6th position. So I'm not sure if they swap them 2 around. Jalen Campbell comes more closer into the inline. I don't know. Something needs to do with the Titans, but again, to be fair, this season's already over. But they could cause the upset of the round, but I'm still picking the Broncos to win. Now, that's enough from me here at the Barry Charles Footy Show. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you can subscribe to the channel because Tommy Turbo needs a very good recovery. If you subscribe to the channel, that'll help him out very much. And if you can kick the ball, make sure you don't kick the ball out of touch, because we need a big game of footy this weekend. No injuries. So New South Wales and Queensland can pick a very strong lineup. And also Reece Walsh maybe kick better this week after only getting 1 out of 4. But anyway, until Saturday, enjoy the footy, and I'll see you here for the preview of the Saturday and Sunday games this weekend. Take care out there.